right, welcome to stage. Andrei, very good to see you again. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming in to another construction talk. For those of you, this is the first time joining us. At every event at Improve Center, we try to have a session like this, invite experts like Andrei to give us some insight regarding a very specific topic, bring some value to the homeowners, those who want to renovate, contractors, professionals, and have some conversations flowing. And this is another session of the construction talk. We hope we can bring you some value. I'm just going to get us started by thank you, Andrei, for taking the time, joining us today. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
For coming in. Today's session, we will be having probably about 20 to 30 minutes with Andrei, use his experience and insight. For those of you who may not know him, Andrei has been in the contracting and renovation market for about 30 years. Is that right? Quite a long time, eh? And he is known for being a very system-driven guy. He's known to be a very process-oriented contractor. And I'm hoping we can use his expertise today on that matter. What I asked him to focus on is to focus on process, on steps that we need to take on a renovation job. Because if I'm renovating a home, if you're renovating a home, all of us, the first thing coming into our mind is always what kind of flooring I want to do, what is the color of my walls. The obvious things, we always pay attention to it. Usually the problems actually arise from things that we neglect, things that come after the fact, things that we don't pay attention to when we need to pay attention to. So I'm hoping we can pinpoint quite some key factors that either being neglected or just need extra attention during the planning phase and all that. So I'm just going to open up the floor to Andrei. So if you want to say hello to everybody and start by telling us what are the primary things we need to pay attention to other than the design factors, other than the choices we need to make, about the process, about the decisions we need to make to have an easy renovation plan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mike, for the introduction, and thank you for gathering today and giving me the opportunity to share the lessons that I've learned over the years renovating homes. My goal today is not to sell anything to you, simply share the lessons that I've learned for the last 30 years. I've seen magnificent transformations, and I've seen smart design decisions, and I've seen bad decisions, and I've seen smooth projects and stressful projects and anything in between. And along the way, I've learned a few things, and I just want to share those with you today, just to help you make better decisions for yourself and for your family. And when Mike approached me and asked what areas I want to talk about, I identified 3 topics that I think could resonate with most homeowners who are considering renovation. First, how to evaluate a contractor, how to select a contractor. 2, how to navigate through millions of decisions that you would need to make during the renovation. And 3, how to minimize the stress, because we know that renovations are inherently stressful. So I thought if I cover these 3 topics based on my own experience, subjective experience, hopefully I will give you some nuggets that you can take away with you today and help you in your decision making. Sound good? So I will go through each subject. If any of you have questions, just please raise your hand, and I will stop and I will do my best to provide the answer. I am not a public speaker. I am a contractor. I know how
already doing good. You're already doing good.
I know how to build things well. I don't do this for a living, so Please bear with me if my speech seems disorganized. I've made a cheat sheet for myself. I was preparing for the...
And you know what, Andre, we have this quite often. The reason why we want people like you, we're not trying to create a show here. We are trying to actually provide value to our audience, and we actually appreciate this setup. So by all means, make it comfortable.
Yeah, that's the goal. Thank you. Thank you. So evaluating a contractor, that's a big decision, and that's a big ticket item. According to research that I've made, there are more than 6,000 renovators in Toronto alone. 6,000 registered renovation companies. That's a lot to choose from. And where do you start, right? My advice to homeowners is first, start with asking your network. Ask your family, your friends, your neighbors, your boss at work, your colleague at work, if they had any good experience working with anybody. References, referrals are the best, really. That's where I would start at any given day. Another thing that I would highly recommend most homeowners is to look into associations, professional associations like Build, like Renomark, like CHBA, Canadian Home Building Association. For example, Build has a program called Renomark Accredited, where they've selected probably around 120, maybe 130 contractors in entire Canada who have specific ethics and code of ethics and liability insurance and professionalism and licenses. So that would be a good spot for you to look at. Look at Renomark. Visit home shows hosted by Build or by CHBA. Usually I find that established companies present themselves during the home shows who care about their own reputation. So that would be another good source for you to look at. And finally, today I was just talking to our videographers. AI is huge today, right? ChatGPT and Geminis, and it's evolving so fast. So I think even asking AI, 8 times out of 10, they will give you a good advice for a company that you're looking for with a specific knowledge or experience that you're looking for. Use that. Why not? It's free and it's available. So I would say these 4 venues are starting there. Moving forward with that is...
If I may, Andre,
Sure.
before we move on from AI, that's the big topic nowadays.
Right.
I mean, for sure, brainstorming with services that are out there. Before it was just a Google search. Now it's more of a conversation based. We can dump our brains and evaluate a contractor for sure. But at the same time, do you see also the same AI that could help a homeowner could also help a contractor with no experience, with no reputation, come up with some sort of not backed by experience showcase to try to get into the marketplace? To me, it's starting to look a little bit difficult to differentiate between somebody who has had years of experience and somebody can come in and overnight build a website and create AI images of past projects in renovation and all that. How do you sense it? Where's the market going in that direction as well? Because that's a risk, right?
I look at AI as medicine. Any medicine could become a poison if not used correctly, but it could help. I remember when I started my career in this industry, I had to read so many books. I read and read and read. I had boxes of construction-related books because I wanted to learn how to build a staircase properly. I don't know how to do it, but and I remember it took a long time, and you kind of on your own, and the government does not provide a lot of training opportunities for new contractors who just starting out. It was difficult, tedious process. I remember even I was preparing for my carpenter's exam to become a licensed carpenter. My goodness, that was tough, reading books that thick.
And I'm guessing there was no Control F to look for
That's
that word,
right, yeah, so you have to do everything manually.
Thank God I came the next generation.
Today, with AI, with YouTube videos, you ask any question, you get the answer right away, at the tip of your finger. I think it's a fantastic tool. If you want to learn, you have the opportunity to learn today. You have so many podcasts today and available to learn from. It's amazing. So can it help with marketing? Absolutely, it can. Definitely. Just
So essentially what you're telling me, yes, the risk is out there. It's just you as a homeowner should also use it to evaluate, right?
absolutely. Why not? Of course. AI does it for you. Today, in online presence, you cannot hide. Google reviews, you cannot stop other people writing reviews about you. It's very transparent. All you need to do is invest the time to read the reviews. My recommendation is don't look just at the number of the reviews. Actually read them. Because unfortunately today there's many fake reviews, and after reading some of the reviews you will quickly get a sense which reviews are genuine from real clients and which reviews are fake. Normally fake reviews, they're very short, they're polished, and they're almost perfect. Real reviews, they're longer, with some personal details. Sometimes they have spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes. Those are the real stuff. And you get the sense which reviews are, real, which are not. Also, don't look at the amount of reviews, because sometimes you may see thousands of reviews, and just think about it. A contractor, even a good one, can take on several projects at the same time. And in a year, how many projects can they do? Okay, maybe 20, all right, 30. Maybe a big company can do 50 projects a year, because each project of substantial nature, like kitchen reno or main floor reno, may take several months. So if somebody has thousands of reviews, that could be a warning sign that something is off. You cannot be producing so many projects per year. So doing your home due diligence, reading those reviews actually, not just looking at the amount of them. And AI can help you with that too. So why not use it? Of course.
It is very, very surprising to see something that simple is often being ignored. I myself, I've been through that process, and we often make emotional decisions. If somebody refers somebody to us and hey, this is a good guy, I had a good experience, we tend to neglect all the review reading, doing our homework and all that. That's something definitely to take away. But as the last point of this section of the topic, tell me this. Let's say I'm an average senior that is more likely to want to do a renovation in the age of 60 to 80-year-old of my life. I may not be so comfortable, spending time, with all different AI apps or all that. Do you also see contractors opening up and doing it for, how can I leverage from this market?
Absolutely. Absolutely. AI is not for everyone, and it's not the only answer. You should always ask for references. It's a cliche, everybody says that. But it's so important that you ask a contractor to provide references, and then you watch what happens. Do they give you 3 people, or do they give you 303 people to choose from, to talk to? And actually take your time to call them and talk to them. And when you do call, don't just ask, are you happy with this contractor? No, ask specific questions like, what problems happened during your project? Because problems always happen. So ask them, what happened at your project? How were the problems handled? Was the project done on time? If not, why? Did the price change during construction? If yes, why did it change? Asking these specific questions will open up the story. We cannot predict the future, so it's impossible for us to say whether this or that contractor will be good for you, but we can look into the past. We can study the past, because that will be indication of what the future might be like with this contractor by studying his past. And talking to references, that's a big thing. You can always ask people to allow them to come and see their work in their home. I find with my experience that most of our clients are happy to showcase our work in their home because they're proud of it. So there are some people who are private, of course, and they would not want, but most people I find, they're open. They will be happy to showcase our work in their home. So if you can do that, awesome. Another thing you can do, ask your contractor to visit current live project that is going on right now. Most good contractors always have jobs on the go. If contractor says, sorry, I cannot show you any projects right now, that might be a warning sign, because good contractors are always in demand, and they should be able to show you a project that is going on right now. And when you go there, pay attention. What's it look like? Does it look like war zone? Does it look like somebody has control over everything? Are tools packed neatly? Materials stashed properly? Is the debris handled respectively? All these signs will give you a hint whom you're dealing with. So you don't need AI for that. You just need to do due diligence and ask these questions and actually visit a site like that.
So I think it's definitely great points you're offering here. So definitely the emotional decision making is good. Your gut feeling is always good, but taking the further step and not neglect the facts and not neglect the simple steps of going a little bit further and doing our homework is definitely something to take away from it. But sure, let's say choosing the right contractor based on facts, based on information, based on the study and analytics is definitely something. But there are thousands of other decisions to be made during a renovation project, and that's often what gets hectic, gets chaotic for a renovation project. How do you manage for your clients, especially for bigger projects that are many, even the smallest one have thousands of decisions to be made, from the finishes, from the timelines, from the trades to go with? How do you funnel all that decision making in a streamlined process?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to talk about that. And one more point I want to make before we go into a decision, talking about gut feeling. I wouldn't rule this out. Gut feeling is very important. We laugh often with our clients that hiring a contractor is almost like a marriage. When you hire someone, you're probably going to be spending...
I mean, you build a home with them, after all, right?
You will be spending months and months with that contractor, making decisions, going through stress, talking about money. Gut feeling is very important. It's just like you marry. You got to have a good chemistry. You have to have a good feeling that the contractor has your best interest in mind. And if you don't, my recommendation, don't proceed. If gut feeling is telling you something is off, there's probably a chance that there is something is off. So I wouldn't rule this out. Gut feeling is very important. The only advice I would have is don't look at how they speak. Look at how they act. Look at their behavior. Does contractor show up on time for an appointment? Does he come too early? Does he come too late? How do they answer your phone calls, your emails? Do they do it promptly? Do they send you estimate when they said they would send it? Watch for these little signs, because that's how the next 6 months would look like, and form your opinion on the gut level. One more thing that is crucially important when evaluating contractor, ask many questions, as many as you can. Not just how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. Of course, we all ask that. But ask them how do they handle disputes? How do they handle changes? What's their process for a quality assurance? How do they make sure that dozens and dozens of tradespeople actually do the work right? What's the process? What's the system? How do they do it? What makes them different from everybody else? I would ask many questions, because that will tell you the story. All right?
Beautiful.
Any other questions before we move on to a decision? Anything I need to clarify?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to hear about how you handle all that chaotic situation.
Decisions, all right. Decisions, of course. On the average, a typical homeowner who wants to renovate the main floor, let's say kitchen, flooring, staircase, powder room, laundry room, needs to make between 120 to 180 decisions. 120 to 180 decisions. That's a lot of decision making. And very few of us are born good decision makers. So it could become pretty daunting. That's why my first recommendation to all of my clients is to make the first decision, the most important decision, is whether you should move instead of renovating. Because quite often it makes sense to buy a new house instead of renovating. And if you have the opportunity to buy a home with the features that you're looking for in a neighborhood that you want and at a price that you can afford, I highly recommend considering that first before you consider renovating. Simply because...
Do you ask that from the husband or from the wife? Because I know my wife always wants to buy another home. So.
It's just so much easier and safer than to renovate. Because renovates, like I said, you need to go through 120, 180 decisions, and that's not easy. And there is so much risk involved in every renovation. That's why making that decision first, being confident that renovating is the right path for me, I would start with that. But I would start reviewing the opportunity of moving first, if it's even in the books for you to move.
And is that a cost decision?
There's many elements. First of all, it could be cost. Like I said, I've done this for 30 years, and I've never worked with wealthy or celebrities. I worked with hardworking people, and I'm telling you honestly, I am yet to meet a person whose budget is enough for absolutely everything that they want to do. It's never enough. Renovations always been expensive, even prior to COVID. They've been...
Because you always want more, right?
Exactly, right? So yes, renos are a lot more expensive than most people think. So moving sometimes may not be that bad of an idea than renovating. So the cost aspect, of course, and then the risk aspect. Renovation is intrusion into existing system. It's like any medical surgery, even a small one, bears risk. Even a tiny little medical surgery is potentially risky. Why? Because you're intruding in something that existed for years. Same thing with the home. You're changing things, you're moving things around, you're intruding, you're breaking. There's always a risk that something could go wrong. There's many, many people involved in the renovation project, and human beings make mistakes. We all do. There is always a risk of somebody making mistakes, and it's just a risky business. That's why moving is, of course, it's easier and safer. And you see the final product before you buy it. It's not like that in renovation. You don't get to see the final product unless it's on a 3Ds, on the drawings, but you don't get to feel and touch it before you buy it. You need to imagine it.
So is it safe to say, in that first decision making whether I should do renovation or not, sit down with a reputable contractor like yourself and figure out the worst case scenario, both in cost and everything that can go wrong and things that may or may not meet my expectations. And if I'm comfortable with that worst case scenario, I move forward. Is that how you see it?
I would say sit down with a good realtor first. Get a good realtor, see if you can buy something. That's the first thing that I would recommend. And only if it doesn't look like it makes sense. Or sometimes I hear things why people would not want to move is because they are in a neighborhood with close to their family, to their kids, to their relatives. They grew up in this house. They are attached to this home. Or if the home has a feature or a character that they're really attached to. Or if the backyard is, you can never buy a backyard like that anymore. If you have those things, then I understand, may not make sense to move. But if there's no specific attachment to a home, definitely speak to a realtor first. And there are many good realtors out there and who could give you a good advice. And if that's not the path to take, then definitely do your due diligence on selecting a good contractor, shortlist good contractor, talk to them, see what they think would be good for your home, and how would they solve your problems in your home. How would they approach that? Because, as I mentioned, there's never enough money for absolutely everything that you want to do. And there's so many decisions. How do you go through them? First is getting a partner who has experience in deciding, like a designer who's done it for a living, who's done it many times. That would help you a lot if somebody steers you through the millions of these decisions, somebody recommends you, educates you, what's good, what's not so good. There's nothing perfect. There's no material that perfect for every particular any situation. There's always pros and cons. And having somebody by your side, like experienced designer, that's going to be a huge help for you into making those decisions. So get a good designer to work with you, helping with that. Another thing that we recommend all our clients to divide your project into 3 buckets. Must have, want to have, nice to have. We found that most of the projects could be divided in these 3 buckets. And focus on the must-haves. Focus on that. Make sure that that's taken care of. Make sure that's where your money should go first. And if you still have left, then you can add elements from the other 2 buckets. But focus on the must-have. And how to identify that? What's the must-have? Think about what bugs you the most in your home. What irritates you the most in your home? What causes the most inconvenience? What is it that you can no longer tolerate? Those are the things that need to go into must-haves, and focus on that. That's what I see with clients when they want to do everything and they're not sure and they get confused because so many things to handle. Focus on the most important part. Get that polished and then add other elements to the must-haves.
It's very important you're mentioning categorizing the wants and priorities, because if you don't do that, I guess what 90% of people before meeting a professional contractor do is just list down everything they've ever seen on Pinterest and Instagram. We want it all. And I think there is a very, very important key point to take from that comment is, without prioritizing, everything will equally feel important. Like, everything will become a must-have, right? And with that type of not managed expectation, that's where we land on stress and chaotic situation, right? And I think even if you still prioritize it, there are different people in family, there's husband and wife, and there are things that can go wrong, and stress will happen, right? So I think you will agree with me that no matter what you do, there will still be a little bit of pressure. Renovation for some people is the biggest project of their entire life. At the end, it has the emotional aspect of their home being attached to or not being attached to, and there's timeline, and there is budget strain. How do you manage all that stress? How do you, I guess part of it comes from a relationship you have with the homeowner, but there has to be tactics. There has to be proven system.
Absolutely. There are tools that you could use that could minimize stress. And one more thing I want to add in decision making before I dive into stress and how to minimize that. It's probably something that I see so often, and I think it could be valuable for you guys if you consider renovation. When I meet homeowners, they ask, should I put a tub or should I put a shower? Should I have bedroom number 4 for resale value, or I should turn it into a walk-in closet? And these are the questions I see going through homeowners' minds. And what I've learned, very important that I want to share with you, is that my recommendation for all the homeowners is that focus only on what you need for your life right now or in the future. If you're planning to stay in this home, if you're planning to grow old in a home, focus only on what you need. For example, if I hear, Andrei, I want to put in a tub here just for resale value, I may ask, when are you selling? And the answer could be, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, maybe never. Well, in that case, why would you put in a tub that you're not going to use? If you don't
Because
take...
my neighbor has it.
Exactly, or because your potential buyer may like it. Well, I have news for you that I've learned in 25 years that very often when I'm invited to, let's say, renovate a kitchen, a homeowner may say, Andrei, I look at the kitchen, beautiful kitchen. Somebody just renovated 5, 6, 7 years ago, beautiful quality. They spend a lot of money. And I would ask, why would you want to renovate it? It's a beautiful piece of art. And they say, are you kidding me? I hate white color, or I hate dark color. I can't stand this countertop or that countertop. I found that renovations are very personal. And that's why if you think that potential buyer may enjoy the tub that you're not going to use in 20 years, you could be wrong. They could be calling contractor like me and ask me to rip it out. That's why my advice to all homeowners, focus on what you and your family need now or in the future, not what your potential buyer will need.
I want to make sure this registers to me properly. So for the average person, home is most likely the biggest asset of their entire life. And it is, I find it a little bit hard to say if I'm the average person that I only have one property, is my primary residence, and I live in it every day. It's a little hard for me to not think about the value proposition because, especially for the younger generation, people my age, we want to be flexible. If I want to sell my house at any point, especially in this market, I don't want to do anything that is off. I don't want to do anything that might resist the buyer from diving into it. I want them to instantly love it. But at the same time, I want to live at least 3, 5, 10, or maybe 20 years in this house. I also want to love it. Where's the fine line in this? How do you manage that? Because I just don't want to ignore the property value, right? I still want to be standard in the market, but maybe there's something awkward that I love it. So where do you draw the line there?
Mike, thank you for asking that, challenging me on that. That's fantastic. My experience has been that renovations are not a good financial investment. Not, period. It's not a good investment if you want to get your money back. My advice, do not do renovations if you want to get your money back. It makes no sense. That's what my 25 years of doing this every day had taught me. You will not get your money back. Cost versus value report, it's a well-known report in the United States, year after year repeats and shows the data that even kitchens and bathrooms that are among the best renovations out there in terms of ROI, in terms of return on investment, even they can only give you 80% back of your money in the best case scenario. In the best case scenario. And that's data, it's facts, it's the study, it's not even my opinion. So investing the money into renovations, hoping that it will bring the value of your home for a potential buyer, my advice, don't waste your money. Don't
Andrei,
do that.
I wish every contractor was as honest as you are, because often when you're going through that process, no, you spend $20,000 on your kitchen, you'll get at least 60 back, right? So,
Yeah.
but that already in a conversation like this, that gives me a relief. Like just managing our own expectations of I'm not doing this for money, but I'm doing this because I want to have a comfortable environment. That already gives a good relief. And I think the fine line, thank you for answering that so well.
No, thank you for asking.
Comes from the point to just like, know what you want, know what you're paying the money for. You're not paying it for the real estate, right?
Yeah, renovations only make sense if you want to invest in your life, in your comfort, in your enjoyment. And how do you put price to that? It's priceless, right? We only live once. So only from that perspective it makes sense.
I see. Beautiful. let's go to the topic that I'm
Stress.
craving for. Stress.
Yes, guys.
Let's handle a little bit of stress.
Yes, of course, we all know renovation is a stressful thing inherently. There's always a level of stress, and it's unavoidable. But, but I find that most of the time, what stresses people out is the surprises. Some sort of unknown, something that does not go according to the plan. That's what stresses people out the most. And of course, decision making, as I mentioned before, 180 decisions, oh, that could stress out anybody. So you better have a good designer by your side to help you with that. But not knowing things or having surprises, that's the biggest source of stress. And the best tool to battle that is to plan, is to do very good planning, deep planning, detailed planning, and take your time. You know, like we, in construction industry, when we hire new people, we teach them, measure 7 times before you cut once. Well, homeowners should adapt that mentality. Plan well, think 7 times before you start it, before you actually...
Decide 7 times before you commit, right?
That's right, before you commit to the construction. So planning, detailed planning. You know, I know homeowners want new kitchens, countertops. They don't want detailed drawings. They don't want to pay for it because they need the countertop. They need the bathtub. They need the larger shower. They don't need drawings. But detailed drawings, tradespeople build based on information. So the more detailed information you provide, the better they'll build. The less room for mistakes, the less room for surprises, the less room for you to be stressed out. So ask your designer to provide as detailed drawings as possible, because these details eliminate surprises. They eliminate your stress. So plan properly, plan how you're going to live during renovation, how you're going to feed your family if your kitchen is out of commission, where are you going to take showers, if you're moving out, for how long, have a detailed construction schedule, when you start, when you finish, how long you're going to need to be out. If it's temporary, once again, plan how you're going to do this. The more planning you make up front, the less stress you will experience during the construction.
So I kind of want to circle back to something you said at the beginning of this conversation. You said renovation and hiring a contractor is like marriage. So you will bump into problems. It's kind of hard to say that I hire a contractor and I will always be happy, right? So especially when, aside from surprises, renovation is something unseen. We step into the reality little by little, especially if I'm a first-time renovator. There will be new visualizations that I come to realize at every step we take on. There are homeowners that, like, you know, sure, manage their expectations, they make good decisions, they're confident, they've had renovation experience and move forward. But there are situations that they want a contractor that changes everything forever, do not charge them. And, like, you know, these are things we have seen sometimes in the market. I guess where I want to get at is, where do you, again, draw a line for your homeowner for their own good, to stop having an endless decision-making process and just, like, you know, open the entire world to themselves, to just have changeovers, make different plans, make decisions that might impact the entire timeline that they may or may not understand, that is in their own disadvantage. Do you find it sometimes necessary to step in and kind of boss them out? Because that's the kind of contractor I would like to have. If I'm hiring a lawyer, I want my lawyer to come and tell me, no, you're not doing that, I'm not letting you do that. You have to kind of have a good relationship, but you also have to boss around. Does that often happen in the projects or no?
Yeah, this should be really now a crowd of contractors, younger contractors, that I would give them nuggets. But I don't believe that we can boss around our clients, or we should boss them around. They hire us to help. it's unknown territory for them. It's a lot of money that most of our clients never ever spend in their entire life, much they're spending with us. It's very stressful and it's not easy and there's many decisions and so they need us to help them. And how we deal with that, Mike, is we educate them on working with other clients. For example, I'll give you an example. A recent, we had a client who's actually an AI generator. He creates AI, very, very clever gentleman, unbelievably smart. And he's very curious. He wants to know everything, even though he doesn't come from construction field, but he wants to know, you laid the tile on the crack prevention membrane.
Can we call him a nerd for sake of this conversation?
Yeah, exactly. Why? And why is this? And who manufactures it? And he has a lot of questions. So that's how his mind works. A point in time it came during the design when we needed to select a faucet for his kitchen. And we presented several options based on his budget, based on the aesthetics and style of his house. And he shortlisted two options. And one option was $1,000, roughly. And the other option was $2,000.
For a faucet.
For a faucet, yeah. And he could not decide for the life of him. Like it took him several weeks to like back and forth and he couldn't decide. And I just asked him, forget about the price. Which one do you want? Which one do you think you will enjoy the most? He goes, yeah, $2,000 one. Mm-hmm. And I asked, why? Well, because this, and that, and she showed the features and why he thinks this is better and aesthetics and how it works. And then I asked him, can you imagine yourself 5 years from now, standing in your kitchen, in front of the sink, doing the dishes, and using the cheaper faucet for $1,000 and thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I saved $1,000 bucks. I just asked him, can you imagine yourself feeling that way? He goes, no, I can't.
Beautiful tactic, Andrei.
And that was the answer, because I know my decision now. I found quite often when I call my past clients, which is a standard practice for me 5 years, 10 years after the project is completed, I ask them, if you could go back in time, what would you change? I do it because I'm genuinely curious. And when I started doing that, probably 15, 16 years ago, making those phone calls, I was so surprised what I've heard. I did not expect that, honestly, what I'm going to reveal. What I've heard was nobody ever regretted the renovations. Nobody ever said, I wish I didn't do it. But I've heard time and again people regretting not to doing something, not doing more, not getting a better option, not getting a better countertop, better faucet or something. Example, another I can give you, we recently did did a project pre-COVID, but I recently had a conversation with the client when we renovated main floor. And during construction, he asked if we could remove the popcorn ceiling on the main floor. So we gave him a quote, and it seemed too expensive at the time for him, so he decided not to do it. And now, 7 years, 6.5 years later, I call him and ask him, how's it going? How's your life changed? And he's sharing how happy he is, but he says, I wish I did that popcorn ceiling. Because to this day, it bugs me, and to do it now, it's just too much trouble with all the furniture, with family, with everything. It's just too much for me to take on right now. I wish I did it back then.
So I think we can somehow conclude the future visualization is a very, very key, important aspect in everything you said, from the decision making. You said a few times. You said it when you're hiring a contractor. You have to visualize yourself. You have to decide whether in 5-6 months, for a guy that says, I will give you estimate by Tuesday, and now we are behind 2 weeks, and he has not even got back to me with a simple estimate, perhaps that's something I have to visualize. For decision making on the flooring, on the faucet and things, I think visualization was a good conclusion that helps me. Moving forward, we kind of want to wrap the conversation for sake of the time, but try to put this all together for me. I want to have a good experience if I'm the average homeowner. I understand we talked about we have to assess this financially. We have to decide whether it's worth doing it or not. Because in our brain is like, program that renovation is good. If you can do it, good. Go ahead and do it. But as you said, sometimes we have to put it in more of a analytical perspective and lay it down. Maybe it's not the best decision. But wrap it all for me. Like, how do I manage the entire process in a good, sustainable system?
Yeah, I'll do my best. And
Thank you very
And
much.
before I do, any questions, guys? Anyone wants to?
I think you have been pretty inclusive. You
All
covered
right,
it all.
cool. All right, well, to summarize, and thank you for stopping me because I could go on and on forever about
I wish we could go on forever.
what I do.
I wish.
So first thing is select a good contractor. Take your time. Take your time. Do your diligence. Do not rush. To predict the future is to look into the past. Look into their past. Look into their history, how they've done before. That will help you to hopefully predict the future, how they will be for you. That's thing number one. Now, decisions. First decision you need to make is renovating the good choice for me, or is moving a better one? Start with that. And if renovation is a good choice for you, then find a partner who helps you through these decisions, because it could be overwhelming and stressful, and you could make a lot of mistakes if you don't have experienced partner to help you with these decisions. Absolutely, that's important. And prioritize. Focus on the must-haves. Renovations are too expensive to do everything, impossible. At least that's my experience. Focus on what matters most and what make the biggest impact to your life. Focus on that. Start with that at least, right? And the last thing, to minimize the stress, is to plan. If you don't plan, you plan for disaster. So do deep planning. That will eliminate stress.
And I guess hire a calm contractor like him so that when you're in stress, at least you look at somebody that is smiling all the time. I think that matters a lot. But thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time. I think this was a valuable insight in terms of how to shape our minds. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about, but the overall structure, I'm pretty sure it was helpful to not neglect the simple things, to not neglect the basics, starting from choosing the contractors. We always jump into just making decisions on the final thing we want to see. Our biggest concern is, okay, what kind of laminate am I choosing? What kind of countertop am I choosing? What is the pattern on my countertop? We get to neglect that renovation is a process. We get to neglect that renovation is probably the biggest project in 10 years of my life in every phase. And paying attention to the process, to the system. Does my contractor have a system that he's implementing? Those are very, very important aspects. And thank God at Improve Center, we do have a very competitive market, at the same time educational, that gladly, I don't know any other place in entire Canada like this, that you can go around, talk to different experts like Sosna, like Andrei, and get insight. And this is a very valuable key point, and I hope we can keep going and bring value to the construction market with professionals like you. I appreciate your time, and thank you for coming in.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody.